We are on the 10-show countdown until the NFL draft. There's really no slowing down in this town. We go straight from March Madness, where there's 3 Sweet 16 teams, 2 Elite 8 teams, 1 Final Four team. We're already knocking on the door of the NHL postseason. The Canes are going to be getting after it, and then obviously sneaking up on us is the NFL draft. So what I thought we'd do is with the 10 shows, each day we'd pick one position group and kind of look at how it's developed since last season, and if there is a place in the draft where they could improve that position, or if there is maybe there's not a need to improve it in the draft. Maybe they're good, right? Maybe they're just giving the thumbs up, like, nope, we're fine. And I wanted to start up front because that's where football starts, in the trenches. We're going to start with the interior of the offensive line. We're talking guards and center. We're talking about the blindside protectors have become too Hollywood. They're almost not even they're too high paid to be offensive linemen. Start up front with the interior of the offensive lineman. And I actually think this position is the perfect analogy for the Panthers as a whole. Right? Like this position and what's happened to them over the last couple of months since the new GM, new coach took over, is a perfect microcosm of what's happened to the Panthers. Robert Hunt, they brought in on a $100 million 5-year deal, an offensive guard. Damian Lewis, they brought in on a 4-year, $53 million deal, offensive guard. Austin Corbett moves over to center after dealing with injuries last year and playing guard. This is the microcosm. This is what I mean by that. They have done a ton to change the interior of their offensive line. They have spent money. They have made it a priority. They have done a ton to improve their part of the roster. And when you go on ESPN and you look up the top draft needs for the Carolina Panthers, this part of the field is still listed as one of their 3 top draft needs. Center is listed as one of their 3 top draft needs. They spent $150 million over the next 5 years on the interior of the offensive line to change everything, and still ESPN.com is looking at them and saying, you have more work to do. I give the Carolina Panthers new regime a ton of credit. They did not come in being precious. They did not come in thinking, oh, I don't want to change anything too drastically, right? We've all had new bosses come in, or maybe you haven't. Maybe you own your own business or whatever. I've been in a few situations where a new boss comes in and guess what they say? I'm not going to change anything too much. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to observe for a while, and I'm going to slowly implement the things that I think are going to make us a better unit. Dave Canales and Dan Morgan came in there like with a sledgehammer in their hand, like, if I were you, I'd duck because I'm making big changes. And I give them respect, right? They didn't come in indecisive. They came in with like, you, get out of here. You, get out of here. You, bring in the new guy. You, bring in the new guy. You, how much money do you want? All right, cool. Derek Brown, take this. Robert Hunt, cool, take this. The 3 highest paid players on a per-year basis for the Carolina Panthers have all been signed this offseason. It's Derek Brown, it's Robert Hunt, it's Deontay Johnson. One was signed as a free agent, one was re-signed or extended, I should say, as a player that was already on the roster, and one was brought in on a trade. They are doing a little bit of everything. And guess what? There's still a lot to do. The interior of the offensive line, they came in, you get out, you get out, you get in, you get in. How much money do you need? They've done, you change positions. They have done a ton. And guess what? There is still a lot to do. I'm not sure Austin Corbett is the guy at center. He hasn't been durable, first of all. And if there's one thing I want from my center, if I can choose one trait from my center, you might say explosiveness. You might say Jason Kelsey's athleticism to get to the second level. You might say lower body strength for the tush push. You might say whatever you want. I would say durability. Durability. The quarterback and the center, it's not the same for everyone. I played quarterback in college. I can tell you this. It's a weird thing to say out loud. It's a little sophomoric. You got to get used to the butt. Right? Everyone doesn't snap it the same way. You have to get used to where they like your hands during under center snaps, all the way down to this. I was also a backup quarterback for a couple years in college, and the starting center used to get so mad at me because for a couple periods in practice each week, the starter would go to the sideline and I would go in and run the first team offense as a hey, just in case he gets hurt, you got to know how to run the show. And the starting center would get so mad at me because my cadence was different. I swear to you, me and the starter, like we were in choir practice, would be in the quarterback meeting room. Our cadence was our Omaha was red 5. So we'd just go red 5, set hut, over and over again. Just me and him in a room, red 5. I'm trying to match him timber for timber, pitch for pitch, tempo for tempo. And we'd do it. I'd go out there, and the center would be snapping it early, be snapping it late, and he'd go, Tim's cadence is different. The quarterback-center relationship is baseball player, baseball glove. It's broken into a way that only fits your hand. So if I have a center that's in and out of the lineup, I hate that.
Yeah.
Hate it with a passion. There's only one position that when they get hurt, the quarterback runs to the sideline, they take a practice ball, and it's not like when the center gets hurt, what does the backup center always do? The quarterback runs to the sideline, you take 3 or 4 snaps, right? When a wide receiver gets hurt, you don't see the wide receiver and the quarterback run off to the side and play catch, right? When the running back gets hurt, you don't see the backup running back and the quarterback run off to the side and do handoffs. But when the center gets hurt, you see the quarterback and the backup center run off to the side and take snaps on the sideline because I can't explain it. So if Corbett's going to be in and out of the lineup, you're asking Bryce Young to have that well-worn relationship with more than one guy. It's unfair. And on top of that, Austin Corbett has been in the league for a long time. He's been a guard his entire career. So I'm far from just looking at the center position and saying, oh, yeah, he'll be fine. He's at least been listed as a guard at his entire position. I'm sure he took practice snaps, maybe even the occasional fill-in work. But I don't know if there's room for hey, while you're figuring it out, we're going to be trying to play NFL football over here. You have to praise the front office for being intentional about fixing things on their roster that they think need to be fixed. But you have to acknowledge there's still a lot of work to be done. I would not be surprised if there's a second-round pick center in the draft upcoming for the Carolina Panthers. I'd be very surprised if there's a guard taken, unless it's one of those guards who's projected as a center. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a 3rd or a 4th-round pick taken at center for the Carolina Panthers, which probably won't get a lot of oohs and ahs from the Carolina fans because it's interior offensive line. But it might be that important. And maybe you let Austin Corbett start the season, but like I said, if he's going to be in and out of the lineup and your draft pick's playing fine, you let him rock.
Need all the options you can get. You especially at that position.
You look at Bryce and you say, do you like him? All right, cool. We'll ride with him even when Corbett gets healthy if he's playing well enough. The interior of the offensive line is much, much, much improved. It's far, far, far away from finished. And I would say the same thing about the Panthers as a roster. Much, much, much improved. Far, far, far from finished.